Okay, hello everyone. I was pretty exhausted, but I got a very interesting insight about it and I got super energetic somehow. This episode is titled, it has, technically you can say three kind of names. And so, when the armies of mankind march through the cosmos, or when the armies of humanity march through the galaxy. And in the subtitle I've written endless progress in the void. That means I'm someone being like, okay, what's the argument for human consciousness endlessly progressing where it is, and in some sense it's kind of cool, even though I've realized when we talk about stuff about the past, some human beings are sensitive. When we talk about stuff about in the present, human beings are sensitive. So I'm left about kind of talking about the future, because everybody's sensitive about the present and the past, who knew science fiction was the last bastion of free speech, when everything that was in the present and past was judged. But anyways, my point is not this. My point for this episode is what a remarkable idea it is for us to not just be fascinated by the human experience only in one lifetime, but to be fascinated and have our minds attempt to fathom what the great destiny of humanity will be. There are some moments that are more sacred than, you can say, temporal reality. I was thinking, there's moments where I was thinking like, is humanity angelic in nature? Does man have goodness? Is man's nature good? Then I was like, is humanity demonic? Is the nature of the human being, bad? But then when I saw this photo of these ducks floating in the water, I was like, this is it. This is humanity. This picture is the perfect depiction of human progress. And to be honest, I think a rubber duck interstellar spaceship would be incredible. I would probably go live in that interstellar city if it was a rubber duck city, Because this picture is so beautiful, because it is the same level of simplicity. You see, we are different beings. We have different DNA. But when it comes to the passion of our hearts, every person's attention, like their own lightsaber, is wielded differently. Take it from me, this life is so fascinating. I was born as a twin. I have a twin brother. And when we were young, people would confuse us. But our personalities were so different, even though we went through similar experiences, but who we became was so different. Because this world has brought every conscious being, or if you were an ancient, you would say has brought every soul for some work. And that's what I want to speak to the whole conscious universe today about. And even this idea of, one can say, a universal agency. Like that would have even been a good title for this episode. What would be if you were an employee of a universal agency? What would that be like? Imagine they ask someone, hey man, what company do you work for? And the person's like, I work for Universe Co. And then they're like, oh my God, you work for the universe? And the person's like, yeah man. And the guy says, where's the location? Where's your, where's the location of the company? And the person says, the whole universe, man. I work for the universe. That's what I want to say. It's all about the cultivation of ability, the experience of responsibility, the realization of nature, the abidance by universal will, the realization that the universe has not created individuals to then be like, yo, I'm going to control you, because it had no reason to create us if it wanted to control us. Do you understand? Creation is an act of freedom. Do you understand? Creation is like giving. Do you know destruction is like taking or denying? You know, imagine this guy went to a nightclub and, you know, this very attractive girl, you know, very cruel, in a very cruel way, rejected him, right? And imagine this guy, instead of being cruel back and rude, in some sense being like, yo, you know, in some sense trying to not even get to the point. You see, human beings are creating memories which then they tunnel and cycle through. Okay? When I give these talks, I know that I'm creating a future for the future self of tomorrow, a sort of past self. It's as if right now I am being a memory of my future self that hasn't happened yet. I'm creating the memory my future self will have by how I am living today, or how free I am today. If I think I'm unfree, the future self's gonna be like, God damn it, you fool. Now I'm gonna feel like a fool, you know? You know, some people are fascinated by the past. I can understand that. I am very fascinated by the past, but not like just the years ago, just the end of like the beginning of the beginning. That's what I'm interested in, right? But when it comes to the future is the justification and the purpose of life. See, the future even calls you. So what is the main intent of an object that has subjectively pinpointed itself in what it has, in how it has named the void as the space-time continuum? Like for me, I'm like, yo, I don't care who thinks what truth looks like. You know what it is? Imagine a bunch of people fighting over the perfect business model of a business. They're fighting over, and there's like 5 views of different better business model, and then this other guy comes and says, hey guys, whatever business model you guys choose that think is the best for this moment, when your business actually enters the market, it's going to update its context and your business model has to change. Do you understand? That means even if we think we have the greatest strategy is an endless updating. That's what we have to realize. Humanity has ushered itself into an era where it's like, okay, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I created a story out of it. At least if I'm in the middle of nowhere, telling myself a story as an invisible experiencer of an objective existence, then what kind of story am I going to tell myself? And this is where I say, dear humanity, do not some people are just that, like most human beings right now in 2023, I would say, like back in the day, they would just experience the present. Now they experience the present and the past. And then there's some human beings who understand how to use the experience of the lifetime, like as if they've been human before, and they understand what is the permission of the human. Once you accept the simplest archetype of the human being, it's another way of saying you can't access truth in a complex mode, so you simplify everything. That simplest unit you're left with is the only thing that truth can be. Anyways, it's a reference to an experience of time, like truth being instantaneous. But what I'm saying is a human beings experience a sense of past and a sense of present. That means they're living like 2 lives, a past life and a present life at the same time, right? But I am saying you can live your future life. Your mind is your future life. You don't realize it because most of us think that we're objects. And I'm not saying we're not. I'm just saying we're not only objects. Like, it's ridiculous for us to think that we're only objects. You know, that it's like yo, it's like the atheist who shouted at the theist, it's so loudly that the theist started crying, and the atheist said, God isn't real, it's a fiction of your imagination. Then there was a philosopher there who felt bad, and the philosopher was like, kind, non-believing sir. The philosopher says, isn't it strange that if we don't believe in the idea of God because it's invisible, because it's fiction, then we have to stop believing in the idea of time, we have to stop believing in the idea of space, we have to stop believing in the idea of, what else is there? The idea of ourself. The idea of ourself is not an object. Isn't it weird? Like, we have a desire that is physical, but something non-physical is desiring something for a physical experience. And we're like, why? Why does a biological body on a rock in a cosmos desire to have trillions of abstract, let's say, value? Do you understand? What I'm saying is, we are so conditioned in thinking like a human being that we never wonder if the truth of our experience and reality could be beyond the human archetype. But it being beyond doesn't mean we have to forget the human archetype. What I am simply saying is that for me, it fascinated me why we're all here, right? Just think about it. I mean, I don't have kids, right? But I was thinking, like, if in the future I have kids and my kid's like, why are we here, Dad? And I was like, son, I've been given 10,000 talks and I still don't know. I'm joking. If let's say in the future generations ask me what is going on, I would honestly say that it's like this creature appears on this rock and it has to be obsessed with itself in order to survive. But in the process of being obsessed with itself, it realizes it has to know and be aware of more than itself. So it ends up no longer being a noun. That means in front of your eyes, you may appear like a noun in front of the mirror, but behind your eyes, it's as if there's a massive layers of viewing going on. And I don't know how to say this. Like, some people say, yo, I have a memory. And I'm like, yo, is it that easy? You just call it a memory. It's as if time travel. We're traveling through time. I'm remembering what I ate yesterday. I'm remembering how salty that food was. That's time travel, The moment I said that's time travel, the viewers dropped, But that's fine, Time travel's not for everybody, Those who travel through time realize that they're observing a time that can change. So there can be this argument made that only a timeless being can travel through time. A being in time cannot travel through time. It's kind of like locked down into its starting point. Whoever you are, when you see this, picture I've chosen for this episode, the water is the cosmos, and the ducks are humanity. That's really it, I thought we were like complex, Star Trek sci-fi level. No. We're literally like ducks, like, swimming on a cosmic pond. But the cool thing about the human experience is that human beings have not left themselves alone. Like, if you think about the human experience, like from an aerial view, imagine we all had jetpacks, imagine in the future, I was like, let's say, everybody joined like the membership, YouTube membership, and I was like, yo, everybody's gonna get a jetpack. And imagine, like, with all the YouTube channel members, we all get jetpacks and we go into the sky. And imagine somehow we could see like a fast forwarded view of the earth, the world. It's as if like these entities are being born, and then they're being enchanted by behaviorology, by the environment, by communication, by sound, by image. They're being enchanted and tamed and sculpted into an individual, just from the beginning, where the parents just call you by your name. And this is incredible. It's like an advanced technology. Do you know? That means language is really the healthiest way to see languages as a technology. I thought as a philosopher, yo, what's the philosophy on language? I'm like, yo, I should look at it as an engineer. So how fascinating is it that 8 billion unknown viewers of the space-time continuum, occupants of the space-time continuum, they find themselves here now. That's the cool thing. Regardless of who you are, your ability level, how much you care for your world, regardless of who you are, where you are, and what you are, you have arrived on the grand stage of existence. And as I won't claim myself as like somebody who in some sense is like like a teacher. I don't like that enlightened teacher archetype. That shit is, I don't understand that. Like, I understand it, but it's not. To me, I use the archetype of a pilot. Okay. And what I mean is that for me, the world has changed and my heart opened up to this metaphor. For me, one of the most surreal experiences of my life was the first time getting on an airplane. And because me and my brother were twins, that when we said we wanted to see the pilots also wanted to see these twins, And it was so fascinating to me that there was somebody piloting the whole plane that everybody was a passenger in, but there was also cabin crew. And cabin crew was assisting inside the system, and the pilot was in some sense assisting outside of the system. And I found that to be something that is necessary in the human experience. This is why it's at some point the Logos was like, stop seeing people and start seeing advanced communicators and pilots. For me, it's literally like there's nothing to wait for, or how should I say it? Everybody is waiting for a self that is freer than them now. But that self will also be an energetic expression. Do you understand? Whether you're a good person, a bad person, when you look at it in the view of energy, you're like, yo, I don't know. Is a bad person's energy and a good person's energy is different? And somebody is going to be like, yeah, maybe. But on some level of like, let's say physical, like if you were a physics, teacher being like energy, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's same energy. It's like potential energy becoming kinetic energy. Oh, good. There's 0 viewers, so nobody heard that. Oh, wait, is this being recorded? What I'm saying, dear humanity, is that we are a force. And this force does not have the vision of a lifetime, but it's like all the vision of our lifetimes lead to it. So, at first you want to, it's kind of like you want the world to see you, but then you realize the world you wanted to see you might not have been seeing it. What is mysticism? But somebody saying like, hey, everybody who's had a theory and a belief, an ideological system on knowledge and on what's going on reality and truth, what do we do with the unknown? It's like, teacher, it's like, where are all those students in classroom raising their hands, being like, teacher, can you tell me what knowledge is in an unknown world? And the teacher would be like, child, you have asked the questions that, it's like, that question is like, Excalibur, and the teacher's like, I'm no King Arthur, There was some discussion, I think, from Plato, where he spoke about this idea of the philosopher king. And I think what he was referring to is that authority in the future will go to the most aware. So cultivating awareness is the key. All right. I'm going to bring the notepad. And let's see what the unknown, let's say the unknown eternity that looks through these tired eyes. I guess this moment is why I exist. So, when the armies of mankind march through the cosmos, I mean, like, that's gonna be like, the idea of the victories of humanity. Alright guys, I'm trying to be fast here, but it's being coming across slow. Okay, there we go. When the armies of I gotta click here in a second. There we go. When the armies of mankind march through the cosmos, okay, there we go. So what do I mean by what is the armies, the army of mankind? If somebody was like, yo, what is it? So I think that's an answer for it. And then, what does it mean to march? Or here, what is the cosmos? And what does it mean to march in the cosmos? There we go. Okay, these 4 questions. And then in the subtitle, what do I have here? Endless progress in the void. What is, as the French say, progress? Nobody says that, you know. Okay, anyways. So what is progress? You know. What is endless progress? What is the void? What does it mean to endlessly progress in the void? This is something where I would say, okay, if somebody was like, they had to see me in a teacher archetype, my students are infinite beings. I'm teaching the infinite, if I had to be a teacher, you know. But, you know, I'm an explorer that just talks too much, I think. You know? You know, I think at the end of this lifetime, you know, if they're angels, the angels are going to be like, yo, how much did this guy talk? What? You know, okay. This last question, what does it mean to endlessly progress? Or what does endless progress mean? Like, there is a beautiful vision here, guys. I'm like a sculptor. I've seen the vision in the sculpture, and I'm just like sculpting it just as I'm vocally in front of the viewers, you know. So, if somebody was like, what is the army of mankind? Somebody would be like, yo, does this guy think he's a general? Like, does this guy think he's Russell Crowe from the movie Gladiator? You know? And I would say, no. I identify with the Emperor, you know, that came years after that film. You know, I'm joking. It's like I actually identify as the sky in that film. No, I'm joking. Okay, so what is the army of mankind? So an army is in some sense, here, an army equals strength in numbers.
Let me ask you one last question, which is, again, a hard question to ask, but I bet you thought about it. Who were the end of your life?
Guys, the car beside me is so loud, I'm actually getting, you know, listening to that radio program. Okay, there we go. I guess it's the battle of the radios. Okay. Alright. So an army, oh my god. Okay, there we go. So to continue, and you know, to honor all those who walk with me, what is the army of mankind? An army is strength in numbers. Okay, an army also equals a force, let's say a mighty force, with a director. Now we got to realize we reached that point where nobody could be like, yo man, I'm a commander, everybody follow me. We reached a point where humanity is realizing that the commander or the great kings of the future, they are the future actually. What I mean by this is that who are you serving? Imagine you told a human being, who are you serving? And the human being was like, I don't know, I'm serving myself, I guess. You know, and somebody was like, no. Who are you serving as a living force, as a life force? What are you serving as a life force? And then there comes this realization that you're not just alive for yourself. You're alive for the world, and in order to live for the world, we require to live as a species. So when I say the army of mankind, what are we all living for? You ask people, they're like, yo man, I'm living for my legacy, I'm living for my grandchildren. And I'm like, great, you're living for your grandchildren, but only for your grandchildren? What about the great? It's as if we don't realize we have to care for everybody's kids, because everybody's kids are going to be the people in our children's lives, you know? Like, we've reached that point in humanity, you know? And so an army has a command, right? There's like a commander, the soldiers don't know what to do. They're like, yo, what are we doing here? And the commander's like, oh yeah, we're here to defeat the enemy, you know? But what is the enemy? The enemy is a challenge. And if you notice this, how this world works, and even how many systems and structures work, it's subconsciously designed, and just it's engineered. It's so brilliant. There's like a subconscious level of natural design that whatever our egos did, they could not, like, it was kind of there whether they liked it or not, right? So what I'm trying to say is that an invisible command, usually, like, think of an invisible commander and a visible army. An invisible command, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Systems, movement on this planet doesn't actually initiate from the body itself. It initiates as the body embeds itself in a rhythmic process. All right, guys, to continue. You know, to be honest, I'm stalling. Let me just focus here and rush through this. One of those Indiana Jones running when there's a boulder behind him. No, I'm kidding. All right. Okay. What is the army of mankind? An army, strength in numbers, an army, a mighty force with a director. A massive a massive directed life force. There we go. So, a way I would say it, you know, this is the way I use the metaphor myself. I treat my biological existence, all the cells in my body, as soldiers. Okay? And so my body's existence, my physical existence, not just my cells, just the physical existence, the physical dimension is like the soldiers. And then I treat my mind as the commander. So my mind is responsible for my body. Now, I consider my soul the general. And if you notice, the general is not in the front lines. The general is behind the commanding officer even. You know, and if the commanding officer fails, the general is the backup system. So it's kind of like if your body fails, your mind and intellect and intelligence is the commanding officer has to save the body. Do you know? And if the mind can't, if the commanding officer is about to fail, then suddenly the general comes in and the person has a spiritual experience. But the idea is the general has faith in the commander. Which means it's not that we are not spiritual beings, and it's not that you can't experience spirituality here. It's just that the spiritual reality, that the divine logos has faith in man. Because there is an elegance, there is a style of how we are being human. Do you understand? It's beautiful. They don't say this enough. It's beautiful to be human in the void. And just because we suffer as a human being, we're like, yo, man, you know, life is easier if I'm an invisible being, if I'm a transparent being, if I'm an eternal being. But in reality, you don't want to be anything in a world that is changing all the time, because what can you read? So you are an observer of change. That's how spirituality begins. When you begin wondering, what is the nature of my mind? And am I just limited to my mind moving my body? Or could I sit down like all these yogis in the Himalayas and for the first time move my body in my mind? Most people don't have an active inner life. Do you know? You know, just like some people don't have an active sex life, you know, some people don't have an active inner life. What that means is it's as if like your mind is a force. And I think, to be honest, for a modern secular society, I was like, yo, you know, how's the convergence of the inner rhythms and the outer shapes gonna be, you know? And you know what I realized? The best way that spirituality and intuition can be converted to an audience, because it's all direct experience. It doesn't matter if somebody says spiritual or not. That's a freaking word, you know. But in reality, everything's pointing to the directness of experience of what's going on here. So let's say, I'll give an example of this general soul thing. I had an experience once where I found myself in this altered state of mind. And pretty much I had the most incredible experience where, to me, for the first time, my mind experienced something that was, you could say it was a type of imagination. It was a shapeless imagination. So what I mean by this is it was a presence, right? And I remember I was in this place. It was a botanical garden in downtown Toronto. And for a moment, I just paused and I felt there was a being in front of me. There was the presence of a being that my whole body just stopped. And it was as if, just like a soldier salutes, for a second, I felt like my whole soul and body and everything was saluting. I felt my soul was saluting. So the body and mind were instantly paused to just be at the direct general's command. And then I felt just that presence, just like a general says, at ease, right? And then the soldier relaxes, right? It was something like that. And to me, it was very fascinating because I was under the impression that the inner realms was just an interaction oriented to image and visual value. Do you understand? There's so many ways this world is happening, and when we think about how much our knowledge encapsulates it, it's a very small percentage. And that's hilarious. Do you understand? That means everything we suffer about is a very small percentage of what's actually going on. Imagine an alien landed down, an enlightened alien, and we all shook hands from the, where humanity's leaders shook hands, and the alien was enlightened and diplomatic, and let's say the alien was from the Andromeda galaxy, neighboring galaxy, and they're like, yo, we just came to say hi to our new neighbors, and we'll be like, we've been here for billions of years, and they'll be like, we've been here longer, And let's say suddenly the leaders of humanity are like, okay, enlightened Andromedans, please tell us the secrets of the universe. And imagine the moment we say this, it's being broadcasted live, everybody on TV is watching what the Andromedans are going to say. And then imagine them Andromedans start laughing, right? And their laughter is like the most beautiful opera that human beings have ever heard, But we know it's laughter. And so imagine suddenly the leaders of humanity, after wiping their blissful tears, are like, yo, why are you guys laughing? And then they say, because you as a species, it's very strange, because they'll be like, we can give you the secrets of the universe, but you as a species have not had the capacity to appreciate the mysteries of your own planet. Your species is still in the cave of the human idea. And if you want the secrets of the universe, it's as if do we want to have everybody become like how Krishna, the avatar of Krishna, revealed its true form to Arjuna, and Arjuna was like, whoa, what did I just see? Okay, I have faith in you, God. Oh man. So the armies of mankind, I'm just 1 in 8 billion, and I'm like, yo, where's this all going? And I'm like, okay, at some point our grandchildren are gonna be like, why were our ancestors fighting with each other? Like, why didn't human beings have an ability to not just be a bird on a branch of their own ethnocentrism, culturalism, nationalism, all of this, and for a second fly into the sky and realize it's human beings everywhere, regardless of the ideas we put on each other like stickers, stickers, crafted by our own past. The mysteries of this reality mean, where's your life going? Do you understand? That means it's like, imagine whoever you are, let's say you're working for a company, and now imagine there's this company that is the whole universal sector, not the universal sector, like the whole, imagine there's a company called Milky Way Co. Okay? And this company administers all affairs and gives an organizational structure and guardianship to all affairs in the galaxy. And imagine you were an employee of a galactic company and you were like, yo, it's like, yo, do I need to show them our resume? And the galactic company's like, no, we've already checked all your past lives and, all your future lives and all your potentials and all that you've been. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so vulnerable, And imagine that you were like, I don't know, like let's say you were a top agent of a, poetically, this is so in the realm of poetry and sci-fi, but imagine like you were like the top agent, okay, of a transcendental and galactic or universal, not galactic, a cosmic agency. That means a world agency, The agency was called the world, and you're like, oh my God, I'm working in the world. I'm working for the world. So imagine that you were an employee of a universal company. And this universal company was like, and you, when you're working there, you're wondering, okay, what do they expect from me? And what do I expect from this selection, this decision of a life? I'm wondering about the destiny of why all of us are existing as human beings and why we're having a subjective experience. And it's so bizarre because I am entertaining a reality where there's a visible dimension of objects, and then I'm entertaining an invisible dimension, where in that invisible dimension, you're not an object, you're an unknown viewer of a subject. And your free will is watching probabilities that your brain generates automatically and then decides one of those, or, acts as it or animates it. What does it mean to march? Marching means that there's a vision that is better to go towards than just being still, right? So what this means, you have the option of the world moving you, or you have the option of moving in the world. And if you move in the world wisely, you also have an option of changing the world. This is what I think it is, like, for now. Anyways, so what does it mean to march? To march means to walk the path of a vision. What an incredible sentence. I should make this a title. What is the cosmos? The cosmos is a space that provides an opportunity for events to be interpreted by their microcosmic identities. A space that provides an opportunity for events to be interpreted by their microcosmic side. To be an event of worldhood. They asked someone, yo, where were you raised? And the person's like, I'm in the hood. They were like, really? And the person's like, yeah, world hood. I've been raised in a world, you know. You know, it's kind of like we've all been raised in a world, even though everybody's like from somewhere in the world, you know, different occupy, like a different part of the world, inhabiting a different part of the space-time continuum, but we're in the same space. We might not be in the same place, but this space is the same. What does it mean to march in the cosmos? It means what? It means the greatest vision. The great vision of humanity that did not give up on itself in an endless void. This is what I'm talking about, dear viewers. It's like we are not being activated. You know, it's as if it's like, you know, they were like, yo, Avengers assemble. Somebody called Avengers, you know. And so I will say now, human beings assemble as the species, as humanity. The humanism will transcend the culturalism and realign it. The culturalism needs to relearn how to, what this means is the way human beings are behaving, it has deviated from an appreciation of the natural. So what we need to do in some sense, I don't know how to say it, but it's kind of like, I think the reason overpopulation is actually very healthy is because overpopulation breaks the limiting structures, kind of like a place that's getting so crowded the walls get destroyed. Imagine like a bunch of Hulks, you know, a bunch of imagine a Bruce Banner and all his parallel selves are in a room, and then they all get angry and the building gets destroyed, you know. There's so many ways to look at life, and what's more bizarre is that everybody is running after some value, but it all goes to the unknown. And I'm like, whoa, then what is meaning? Do you know, it's as if am I speaking to temporary objects? Am I speaking to invisible subjects? Am I speaking to an eternal souls? And I'm like, yo, if I'm speaking to eternal beings, then there's nothing really to say, you know. And if I'm speaking to invisible beings, it makes sense if it's all those beings that haven't been born yet, or they have an intention to be born. And then like, okay, so I'm speaking to all the visible beings in the realm. And then what is a sign of a visible being? Consciousness. Not just its shape and form, it is aware that it is a shape. That's our difference. That's really what the difference of someone having a soul and someone not. The person who has a soul is aware of its shape, of what it is, of it's aware. Like consciousness is strange. It's kind of like you're being an object, but not really. I think that's the best description of consciousness ever. Guys, I really think that's the best description of consciousness ever. You're an object, but not really. Okay, almost done here. So what is progress? Endless progress. So we've come to the endless void. So really what the idea of the armies of mankind march through the cosmos, we're pretty much like, okay, here, I'll write it here. What is the best strategy of a species in the void. And then, what is the best strategy of a species in the void? And when the armies of mankind march through the cosmos is actually acting as an answer. So what that means is that the best strategy of the species in the void, so far it seems to be, as Mr. Within considers it, $8 billion objects, Jesus Christ, this song, 8 billion objects have decided to unite under the singular subjective banner of humanity, or as Mr. Within calls it, the advanced humanity. No, we have reached a time where nobody could be like, yo, I'm a powerful soul. You got power, go serve the advanced civilization. The advanced civilization is like living for a system that is beyond yourself. It's actually a cool experience, you know. Because when somebody works, they're usually working for a company, and what is benefiting it is the company, right? But now I'm saying if it was a universal agency, it's as if, what if we could create an ultimate win-win strategy and then endlessly implement that strategy? I've created a strategy, it's called Mr. Within strategy, to indefinitely bypass extinction on the planet. But anyways, that's called Civilization 2.0. I'll give talks on it later. But anyways, okay, so 8 billion objects have decided to unite under the singular subjective manner of humanity, or the advanced humanity, and to endlessly continue as natural temporary beings. Do you understand what that means? That means we are like, okay, we're here to stay. That's why we're reproducing. That's why the genetics are going. This is why the gods are seeking entertainment, as the ancients thought. It's all about a vision, guys. More powerful than some person speaking to you or you hearing words is a vision. I'm telling you, a vision is the most greatest powerful thing. And these talks I'm giving right now, it all happened because I don't know how, I just trusted my vision and I just went forth. And then, okay, so anyways, that's that. We come to what is progress. Progress, I would say, from the past is incredible. From the future, it's behind schedule. And I would say from the present, it's a revelatory decision. Revelatory decision. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm tired. You know? What is endless progress? Endless progress means, this is really cool, a never-ending victory. That is the glowing idea that I have found, a never-ending victory, or as now Mr. Within would say, the never-ending victory. That's the vision of the advanced civilization, the never-ending victory. Most likely Earth, probably like, give it a couple of thousand years, it's going to become an interstellar airport or something. It's going to become an airport. Like, it's acting like an airport even now. And then we have, what is the void? Oh my God. The void is, interestingly, where everything is evidently beyond empirical view. So what is the void? The void is the allowance of energy for the space of stuff. So this is bizarre. Energy is being invisible, so there could be something visible. Energy is like being space, so and then stuff can be in it. And there's too much geometry here in this world. It's kind of like we're like this divine technology, this lost divine technology, and we've become conscious of ourselves. What does it mean to endlessly progress? Guys, this is bizarre, but there can be huge arguments. Like right now, we don't have like solipsist philosophers, but I might get challenged by a lot of solipsists in the future. But that would be cool. I actually want to go challenge the whole philosophical realm, just all the ideological systems on the planet. But I don't want to challenge it. Like there's something I want to create called the School of Athens 2.0. It's going to be the Colosseum of ideas, pretty much. Or sorry, not the Colosseum of ideas, the Colosseum of conversations. What does it mean to endlessly progress? For consciousness to use its life in a way that its effort outlasts its temporary individual existence. Do you understand what it is? Like our soul, our life, our personality is like a torch. Okay, and this torch is in our hand, and everybody, when they die, they either have given the torch away or they die. They just exit with the torch. Like the torch is in their hand, it's as if consciousness leaves and nothing happened. Right, but the idea is right now people are holding torches. They're all becoming like every person's working towards some sort of archetype of excellence in their own mind. And so it's as if why are we holding these torches? It's as if there isn't the proper system for these torches, for these flames to be shared in some sense to create a greater momentum, a greater force. Right? So the idea is in some sense right now human beings have an option of what kind of world you want to be in. If you're super lazy, you just accept the past. If you have a bit of energy, you live in the present, you go on the adventurous journeys of the present. If you have a lot of energy, or if you care, and that's why you have a lot of energy. If it's important for you, while you're being an objective creature that is experiencing a mind that is simulating a narrative, a character in a story, overlaid upon an objective reality, it's like on some level, oh my God, we're the periodic table, but on another level, who's speaking? And so the mysteries of the soul, the mysteries of the mind, what is moving in the void, the bizarreness of all ideas. Why should there be anything at all? And it's as if, who was I in my past life? Or was I non-existence in my past life? Do you see? It's as if was I non-existent, or was non-existence me? Do you see the difference? Consciousness has entered the room. It has an organizational capability. It finds itself ultimately in the inner realms alone, but in the outer realms, if it trusts who it is in the inner realms, it can experience something more. Now, I'm saying that our minds have this unique ability to think ahead. When we think about endless progress, we're thinking about like thousands of years. Let me tell you, selfishness is hilarious. Because selfishness and greed is like good for like 100 years, 200 years maybe. Okay, let's say maybe like, okay, max 1,000, no, never 1,000 years. Okay, let's say like max 500 years. No, not even. Okay, max like, let's say greed is going to be nice for 300 years. If you live as a greedy being seeking power and stuff, your 300 years, your legacy is going to have momentum. But if you're someone who you for a second, you're like, wait a minute, before I was an idea, before I was just thinking on my body and everything, I was an viewing force in the world. I'm an event right now. Do you understand? You listening to this talk, you're an event right now. You're a conscious event. Energy's doing something. Somebody's like, where's my soul? It's like, yo, it's the one asking. Nice, we have some comments. Interesting. You know, it's kind of strange. I'm pretty much like, yo, why are people alive? And it's like, yeah, they're here to have fun and experience and journey and learn from their life and all this. It's like, yeah, thumbs up to that. But it's like, why are they doing it though? And then it's like, okay, they're doing it to pass the time, right? Like, let's imagine, it's like, you know, I should probably write a science fiction chapter called The Bored Species. What do I mean? It's that it's as if like this unknown viewer that is looking through our eyes understands that it has an opportunity to animate, navigate, and pilot an existential force, right? An existential shapehood. Like, do you understand? We are a biological system. The biological has led to a cognitive system. The cognitive system has wondered how it's being a cognitive system. It ended up as a podcaster. Now this podcaster with a story of life and a journey in life and let's say a file cabinet of memories and everything throughout this soul life, 31 laps around the sun. And in some sense, what have I come to realize is that the unknown viewer hasn't changed. What has changed is what the unknown viewer has thought it was. So in some sense, the unknown doesn't change, the knowledge changes. So the unknown is strangely guarding the knowledge. It's so beautiful what's going on here, because it's not just human. You look at it and you're like, yo, I thought I was a kid, you know, from Tehran, you know, but I'm not. But actually, I'm a process of evolution and I'm a universal event. And before I was a philosopher, it was so easy to have the ignorance to, in some sense, specify, just focus on my own, try to just think a causal, effectual pattern of my own self. Do you understand? It's as if we are, when I said earlier that when the creature is born, it is self-obsessed. You know what that means? That means every person is an unknown viewing force. And part of its viewing force is the directing. It's shaped directing. I think of the metaphor of a director, actor, and a film set. And somebody's like, yo, where's the director? You know, or where's the general? Isn't the general on the battlefield? And the director is like, yo, I'm not in the film, that's why I hired you. You know, and we're like, yo, God, why aren't you helping me in my life? It's like, God's like, yo, it's like, what's the point of me creating a perfect creation? You know, it's like have faith in what I've created. Do you know that? Like, that would be the theological view. What I'm trying to say is, the conclusion of an unknown viewer of a conditional known world, where at the edges of this conditional known world, it suddenly notices the unknown again. It's as if for the first time, for an unknown being, the world is within you, but for a known being, you are within the world. And so once you find contentment with how the center of your being is the presence of the whole moment, you know, it's like when I was young, I would say maybe I intuitively knew the value of honesty, but I didn't understand, like, really have a good reason for honesty. But now I understand the greatest reason for honesty is you get to see what you are in this lifetime. But if you're dishonest for the sake of the outer environment, you don't get to see who you were actually. And so the strength that we look for, sometimes we may be looking for something outside, you know, but it's actually internal. You know, sometimes I try to help out my friends and I say, okay, first think as if like, okay, is the problem in the inner realms or the outer realms? And the person's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, okay, if the problem's in the inner realms, you are the problem. If the problem's in the outer realms, no. There's something in the outer realms where your inner realms has to come up with a strategy for example. Pretty much, it's conscious continuity till the end of time. That's what I mean. Like, that's what's going on. Conscious. That's why we're all alive. Conscious continuity of whatever we are in the void or the middle of nowhere. I don't know why, there's something really comforting when you realize we're on a planet in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, yo, okay, that's at least I know that we don't know. So that's it with the notepad. Alright guys, if there's questions, I guess, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think what else can I say about this. I don't know, for me there's a vision, you know, it's as if like I'm this energetic being in a moment, and this energetic being's like, okay, I've had a past, I have a sense of the staircase I've walked on so far, you know, and then, you know, it's like they say there's a staircase to earth, there's a staircase to heaven. I would say there's a staircase on earth, and that's what every day is. We're taking one more step as a conscious being in the middle of nowhere, in the void. It's an incredible thing to be alive, you know, because it's the access to the mystery. You know, I'm gonna read a poem actually. I'm gonna go, let me see. I have a poem called Endless Road. I wrote a poetry book called Endless Roads, and I think like this is a good talk to find a poem out of it. And for some reason, I'm getting a sense of reading number 17. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So this is a poem I wrote in probably 2016. And it's from this poetry book. Actually, you can find it on Amazon, but I'm gonna probably like, you know, take all the books off and sell it from my own website, so you can just hang in there too. So anyways, the poem is called Philosophizing Sheep, and this is what I wrote in 2016, and it's poem 17. Philosophizing sheep. Once a sheep began speaking about philosophy with the shepherd. The first question was, "Are you sleeping?" The shepherd responded, "No, or instead of me, you'd be talking to a wolf." The second question was, "Who is counting?" The shepherd responded, the self of selves, that is the I thought, we call God's focus. After that, the sheep had no questions that the answers could come from without. And the poem ends. That means you reach a point in this life, you realize, the answers don't come from outside of you. It's not that they don't come from outside of you, it's just that it's as if you realize that why do we have minds? Somebody's like, we got souls because God created it. We got bodies, because the earth created it. And then it's like, what about the mind though? What is the mind doing in it? And the commanding officer has an incredible position. It has access to both realities. Because this was written in 2016 and I read poem 17, I'm going to read poem 16 as well.
What this means for you is...
Oh my god, these ads. It's like, how many people are like, do you know? Trying to get rich by helping people. I think all money in the future is going to convert to some sort of point system. So in the future, even if you don't have anything, let's say a homeless person being kind in the future, right? They're going to get there's a point system there which can be converted to monetary value or something. Like behavior can lead to money or something in the future. Like right now, I thought it's hilarious. You pay students and they'll study well. You pay people and you're like, oh my god, they behave well. And you're like, holy shit, if we paid the whole species to behave well, maybe we'd have a better species. But the hilarious thing is money is an abstraction that we associate to an elemental event, to an elemental realm. So it's very bizarre right now what the species is going to do. For me, I think that right now more than ever in history, all the philosophers and geniuses and everybody who has in some senses seeing something that the whole species isn't, now is the time to step forth. Do you understand? Now everybody has to think like, okay, what does it mean to be human in the world again? It's cool though. It's a cool experience. It's like the species has work to do. So anyways, I want to read this poem and thank you for listening so far. Time does tell. Time does tell many things, like a story being listened to by non-existence. We feel we know, but how could broken bones create a new tower of sacred vision? When can love no longer be possibly a cruel mistress? When confusion walks into confusion, clarity seems to be a new window of opportunity. I have become a yogi of divine love. I once saw my girlfriend and only saw God. Of course, a beauty beyond words should not be masked through poetic prose. What has annihilated the ring from my finger, as love demands a supreme glow behind the lies of a crooked door. When lovers bloom from within, all relationships belong to the heart and soul. How do the triumphant hold their own trumpets? If you seek meditation, you must first realize you are unborn. Wow. Meditation is for an unborn being. And think about it, everybody's trying to get enlightened, but an enlightened being would not try to get enlightened. An enlightened being would be wondering about post-enlightenment. But in the future, there will be an excellent humanity. That's what I hope. I'm gonna read poem 5 and just to see what it is. Oh my God, there's a poem called I Am Thunder. I'll go with that. I am thunder, striking himself after feeling the sins of mankind as he forgets the absolute remembrance. Can a drop be wrong in the ocean? Many gods have learnt to see the same. Perhaps your fingers bow to the palm for peace every time you close your fist. I once saw a phoenix at the edge of a cigar that thrown at the ground. Could fire teach water an unexpected lesson? If you make truth, you better realize you're making it. And poem 5 is called Never Forget It. When rocks listen to rock and roll, how does the pebble remember the mountain through all that has fallen from the peak of conception? All roads are divinely placed, so time has somewhere to go. Have you noticed angels like to travel light? What is the cause? What is the cause is which sleep awakens from its What is the cause in which sleep awakens from its narrow dream? Self-remembrance is the glory of the mystic that rides the senses untouchably. How does reality fathom the unreal? Can a writer write with tired bones? All fatigue comes from delusion. You belong to the absolutely divine. Never forget it. And guys, the final poem, it's called So Comes the Sage. It's number 7. It says, so comes the sage, dancing in the folly. That is a reminder of the shadow in the dark side of the moon. We write as much as we can until we no longer can. What is the meaning of this? Through the art found on the cave wall, what gives light to the shade that the tree provides once the fruits of light are ready to be picked? These poems are not poems, they are moments unborn. Give this precious world an allowance it has never had before. Listen to the whisper of cosmic prowess. A tired man may not see the excitement of mankind. How do we find truth in a world made of lies? Once you go within, even nonsense will make sense. When you speak, who is it that truly listens? Wow, I guess that's something for me to figure out. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I hope this episode was helpful and interesting. And to be honest, really, what I'm saying is it's the armies of mankind. Our future is going to be so badass, right? That it's going to be marching not to on the planet. We're not going to, like, that once the species civil war stops, right? We're going to have an incredible humanity. Okay, and that advanced humanity is going to realize that its advanced potential in the future is way greater than whatever it has done in the past. It's as if it's the future generations are going to forgive the past instantly because they want their attention to completely be on designing the future. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. Much blessings and namaste. Rise, mankind, rise. And in the honor of Civilization 2.0, when the armies of mankind marched through the cosmos, all worlds smiled at once. Thank you for listening.